Well, good day everyone, Daniel Sullivan here, Commander of the Orana Mid-Western Police District, and I think in this NAIDOC week it's really important that I reflect that I live and work on Wiradjuri land, and I certainly pay my respects to elders past, present and the future. And I'm very lucky today, I'm with Frank Doolan, and it's all about having a conversation. And Frank, I'd really like to have a conversation with you about NAIDOC week and its importance, but also how the police can work with Aboriginal people and make our journey a shared journey.
Yep. Hello everybody, and you know me, and if you don't, I'm Riverbank Frank, and yeah, I'm real happy to be given this opportunity. How do I feel about NAIDOC week? Dubbo and this place and its people have a real connection to NAIDOC Day, NAIDOC week and all that stuff. You see, William Ferguson, it can be proven too, these facts are now a part of our shared history, that William Ferguson and William Cooper, way back when they introduced an idea due to their close relationship with the churches at the time of Aboriginal Sunday. That was where the churches of Australia, one Sunday every year, they'd either preach on Aboriginal people or they'd have an Aboriginal person in to preach or something. At any rate, fast forward to the early 1960s, when people like Faith Bandler and the late Kath Walker, Wiradjuri, people like that, Chickadees, others were working to put the referendum together, or working towards a referendum, and yeah, they realised that, they found out that this had happened, and the government, not then, but a government shortly after, was sympathetic to Aboriginal people, and so what began as Aboriginal Sunday actually morphed into NAIDOC Day and then NAIDOC week.
That's an amazing story, thank you.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing in that it grew out of people, and not just people, but black people and white people. You know, it's, when you see NAIDOC week today, you see an example of what can be achieved when black and white work together.
And I can hear as you talk, Frank, when you talk about that cooperation, just how much it means to you.
Well, you know, I don't know, I just think that, you know, you can swim against the current if you want to, and you know, you know, I realise too that even just the very idea of me sitting here talking with you is pretty pretty out there, you know. It's not a thing that black fellas do really, but this is where it starts. This is what we have to do.
Yeah, and as you know, Frank, I'm new to Dubbo and just started, but part of my journey is reaching out to Aboriginal people to let them know I'm here humbly with respect and want to work with the Aboriginal community.
Oh, you've been seen here at our events, and thank you. And you've been heard. Just yesterday, I heard you on the radio talking about Uncle Alec Riley, and when I listened to what you were saying, it gave me cold shivers, and it made me want to cry in a way, because I know people, I've known people in this town who knew that man and knew him in a real way, and some of those people died not knowing how much he's been affirmed, you know, in recent times, you know, but he was a great man, and you pointed that out just over the local radio, and the thing about it was that he wasn't just a great servant of the police. Once he retired, he was involved in community.
He was.
You know, and sort of, you telling me that, well, I knew that, you know, but to hear it and to hear it from the police superintendent during NAIDOC week, I look at that and I think that's just lovely.
I find him to be an inspirational person.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I think that you telling that story in that it gives people a licence, black and white Australians, to adopt heroes, you know, to lionise the people who matter, you know,
Yeah.
regardless of whether they're black or white, because really we're all in it together.
100%, and I use him when I talk to the police here, and a lot of the local police didn't even know about him, about how the world is not fair in many ways, and he lived in a world that was exceedingly unfair. But through his strength of character, he showed exactly what it means to be a person, a good person, and I really find that to be an inspiration, because all of us have got stuff that happens outside our control, but he really lent into his amazing character.
Yeah, right here in this city is a genuine Australian hero, you know. He really lived out what Mahatma told us all: don't dream the change,
No,
be the change.
100%. Well, thank you, Frank. I really just appreciate this chance to have a conversation with you, and my hope, which I'll make sure that people hold me to account for, is that I work with Aboriginal people and that we come together.
Can I just share something in conclusion with you and the rest of I don't know whether you're going to show this to other police or not, but yeah, I'd like to share some stuff with you if I could.
Please.
You asked how best do we police Aboriginal people or Indigenous people? Well, you know, I'm not going to try to teach my grandmother how to say, hey, you're the police chief, you know how to do your job. But how you apply that to Indigenous people is simply based on this principle. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Black fellas don't care how much you know, they just want to know how much you care. It's about the relationship. We can respect who you are, and we can respect the fact too that there's a line that anyone can, you know, walk down, or you cross it, this is what happens. You know, that's not hard to understand. But Aboriginal people, Indigenous people in this country, with us, it's all about the relationship. So you form, if you work hard and you do things that go the extra yard, as it were, to build a bridge with your Indigenous brothers and sisters, you know, what I'd say is, you know, if you can inspire your younger officers to get out there, to get to know a few of the young black leaders in this community, as well as the elders, a few of the young people, mate, I know everybody in this town. I'll take any serving officer from your station one morning who wants to meet some of the leadership, some of the promising people in this city.
I'd love to take you up on that offer.
I'll take them out to meet them.
That'd be wonderful.
And you know what can happen in that? Because, you know, it's an exchange. I'll say to those people, I'll say, listen, I'm here, I'm bringing the Gungies here or the police here because I want a better relationship. I dream of something better.
Yeah.
And they'll agree, you know. Nobody that I know, black fellas, they don't really want to live their lives in conflict or having an endless fight with the police. But what I will say in that exchange too is this: hey brother, hey sister, at whatever organisation, whatever government department they're working for, if the police are prepared to come here and form a relationship with you and your organisation, are you prepared to give up a few hours on a Friday evening, say, and come down there and help
at the PCYC,
help the serving police who are volunteering to look after black kids? And I'll tell you what, if you do things like that, then you have a chance of growing something.
Yeah.
What we can be in this city, this is the centre of my universe, but it is a good place. And what we can be really, if we want to, is we can be a leader in this area. We can provide the blueprint for communities, the length and breadth of Australia,
Yeah.
if we want to.
Thank you, Frank.
And, well, thank you.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I think is, I think that what would make me really happy is if your serving police officers could factor into their thinking, into their training, into their day-to-day activities, the idea that my people, they come really, a lot of them, especially, and then nobody gets out of it.
Yeah.
It's the older ones as well as the young ones, but my people, as a rule, they come from a background of trauma.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm not qualified insofar as trauma goes. I have experienced it myself,
Yeah.
I know what it is, but I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
But I know this, with my limited education, trauma is a health condition.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens, as I see it, and this is only as I see it, but a lot of the offending that's happening, the self-harm, the lateral violence in community, the things where we're kicking over the traces, that's to do with a trauma and a lack of connection,
Mm.
you know?
That
And-
word connection too, that really reaches out, doesn't it?
Well, it does,
Yeah.
you know, and we're all connected. So, you know, and to help you and your officers to understand what I'm talking about trauma being a health issue,
Yeah.
I'd like to recite some poetry for you.
I'd love that, please.
Okay? This is something that I wrote when a young girl asked me, she said, "Riverbank, what's Aboriginal health?" I thought at first she was having a sick joke with me. Then I realised she'd only been in the country 5 minutes and didn't really know.
Yeah.
I said, "It's a long story." She said, "Will you write a poem for me about it?" And I said, "Yeah." Being a sucker for a pretty girl. When I wrote the poem, I realised that I had to face issues that didn't leave me very happy.
Really?
But this is what I came up with. This is what I mean when I say health issues. Trauma is a health issue. Trauma can be the cause of a lot of things. I'm not saying it's an excuse for bad behaviour. I'm just saying that you've got to factor into every situation trauma, and I'm asking you, if you will, to be gentle, please, 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 with the people, my people. Aboriginal health. In a first world country, grown fat on mineral wealth, a question asked of me is, what is Aboriginal health? Is it living on the margins, a life of constant hunger, prisons instead of hospitals, dying 20 or more years younger? What is this thing you classify with fancy government speak, while statistics expose and tell that everything's not sweet? And why do my people, Australian from the start, what do we have to do before you'll hear our heart?
Mm.
When we're dying in police cells, expiring in the street, how can you self-congratulate? Because everything's not sweet. Acting more holistically, you'll do a better job. With Aboriginal health, the patient is the mob. And if I say it loud enough, the white man just might hear it. To fix up Aboriginal health, you must first address the spirit.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Thank you for the opportunity, and remember that, guys, girls, people out there, that, I think that you do a great job too I dread to think what it would be like to live in a society where there weren't police. I have worked with police in the past. I'm willing to work with police in the future for a better world. If I feel sympathy, that means I feel sorry for you. But if I feel empathy, then your pain is my pain. Okay, what I want to share with you and your officers, and then I'm gone, is an experience I had in recent years, shall we say. And it happened when a guy I got to know in a social setup, he brought something in one day, and it was some poetry. He shared it with me. And when I read this poem too, it was as if, you know how sometimes, and I don't know, maybe the cops know this, but sometimes your first thought is often the right one.
Yeah.
And this guy, he gave me this poem. I read it, and I thought, you wrote this. But then I looked at the guy who I thought had written the poetry, and he was what I'd describe as an old school cop.
Oh.
In other words, he was tough enough when he needed to be.
Yeah.
He was also a bloke who come from an era when you didn't pump up your own tyres.
Yeah.
You didn't write a book, you didn't get on social media or whatever that is. You just did it.
Yeah.
So this guy, that's the sort of man he was. He was also a man, because nobody gets out of it. He was also a man, and I believe because of his work, who had suffered trauma. And he battled with that. To the point where even though we were mates, I believe he could not admit to me, because blokes, see, in this country, we don't do emotions very well, brother.
Yeah.
We know what they are, but we don't do feelings. And he could not admit to me, I believe, that he wrote it. So he told me that this thing, right, this poem, is author unknown. But, and I won't embarrass the lad by naming him at all, but he knows who he is.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, I honour who you were and who you are. You've come down the road, and it ain't been easy. The poem is called, I'm Just a Person Just Like You. This is how it goes. And this should show you and your serving officers too, that even though I'm just Riverbank Frank,
Yeah.
and I can feel sympathy, I can also feel empathy. Okay?
Mate, I can hear as you even speak about that poem, just how it's connected to you.
Brother, we're all connected. I'm just a person just like you. I have been where you fear to be. I have seen what you fear to see. I have done what you fear to do. All these things I have done for you. I am the person you lean on, the person you cast your scorn upon, the person you bring your troubles to. All these things I've been to you. The person you ask to stand apart, the person you feel should have no heart, the person you call the one in blue. But I'm just a person, just like you. Through the years I've come to see that I'm not what you expect of me. So take this badge, take this gun. Will you take it? Will anyone? And when you watch a person die and hear a battered baby cry, then do you think that you can be all these things you ask of me?
Wow.
We're all just people, brother.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you for sharing that.